Evan, welcome to Athletiko, or maybe we should call you the MVP of the Euroleague Final Four and the Greek League Finals. It was an amazing season with Olympiakos, Euroleague at the OAKA. The championship ended the right way. But I will take you to the most intense picture that we saw last season with you crying after the Monaco semi-final. Given that picture, that video that was hard to watch, and the way this season escalated, is this your best personal success story?
I don't know. I was blessed enough to have a successful career and to have some really highlights in my career. It's definitely one of them, you know. Being able to give this team, you know, a championship, being a part of that team, it's a great accomplishment. I can't say that was the best, you know. I don't like rankings stuff anyway, but it was something I'll never forget.
When you hear you are the MVP of the Final Four, how do you feel? How you felt?
I was excited. I mean, you know, at that moment it was chaos because everyone was on the court
screaming.
Everybody was screaming. Everybody was celebrating. You know, you have all the friends, your family, you know, kids. My favorite part was probably my son running to the on the court, hugging me and looking at me. You know, like I was like a Greek god or something. That was something special for me as a parent. And, you know, nowadays with all the videos and YouTube, and, you know, he's going to have that memory forever. So that's something I will always cherish.
How did you experience that three-pointer that Felice took, and then the rebound that Tyreek grabbed and right up Alec Peters?
It was like obviously the key moment for us. Like, okay, like we won. You know, that's it. That's official. We won. You know, when you're on the court, you don't really have the time to think. Or I was actually the one contesting his shot. Campasso got the rebound, and, you know, I was the one contesting the shot. He had a good look. He had a good look to tie it. But I mean, regardless, we had a little bit of time afterwards, even if he had made it. So it worked out perfectly. And then Tyreek took the rebound, and everybody just started yelling and became crazy and super loud. It was fun, man. It was a lot of fun. Actually, that video, I think I watched it like 100 times. Like I watched it 100 times.
Did you have more pressure this Final Four at OAKA or previous season at Abu Dhabi?
Pressure is like a construct. It's like it's not real, you know. Like losing is a real possibility, but the amount of pressure you put on yourself is just you. I like to come into games relaxed and focus. Sometimes, you know, the energy and the momentum takes you know, control of your emotions, but usually when you're attending a game, you know, as players, we're like under control. So to me, it was the same. Both years we went into the Final Fours as the number one seed, but the dynamic was a lot different. We ended like my first year, we ended the season not struggling because we were still like winning, but we had more injuries. We had missed some games. I missed some games for my ankle. And so the dynamic was different. I feel like this year we really peaked at the right time. You know, we got better and better and better throughout the year. And we played our best basketball towards the end of the season. And I think that plays a huge part into the Final Four, because if it's a playoff series, you have time to really make adjustments and to get your body ready. If it's just like one weekend and 2 games, you have to be ready at that exact moment.
What makes it this group of people this year in Olympiacos special? And like, it's tough to maintain that mentality, to all have the same mentality in the locker rooms. And we saw that this year, that everyone was playing for the team and not for their stats.
Well, first of all, I think two key parts. You got to have the right people. So that's credit to, you know, coach and the general manager for bringing the right guys with the right mindset, because, you know, you can't change people. People are who they are, right? And so that's the first thing. And then second is, to me, you got to have the right working atmosphere, and the way we work at practice every day, what we preach, you know, teamwork, that it's a collective thing. It's like something that coach is really on us, you know, pretty much every day. They never let us rest after a good win or feel good about ourselves. They're always putting pressure on us. They demand a lot more from us. And I think that just creates an environment of winning. And you add on top of that, the fans that push us and give us the energy, then, it's a good mix of winning culture.
You are here in Greece 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. You have won 2 championships. You have played 2 Final Four. You have won Euroleague. You are already a legend of Olympiacos. How is this? Do you dream that?
Honestly, I don't think like that. I just try to give my best. We have a great team. I try to give my best, and whatever happens. I hope we can win many more. And by the time I'm done here, I hope that we will write the best page of Olympiacos history. That's the goal.
Do you believe in destiny? Do you think that Olympiacos is your destiny?
I've touched on that a couple times because I actually don't believe in those things at all. But when you look at how things worked out for me here and the way my career gone, it's like it's hard not to at least think about it. From Paris in 2010 to just how things went. It's just life works in mysterious ways, and for sure, like my story with this team has really worked out, and who knows what's going to happen next. But it's a little bit crazy. Yes.
I want to return to the finals.
Yeah.
It was a very difficult series.
Yes.
How do you prepare? Because you came from the final for victory. How difficult it was? Because Panathinaikos, it was very ready.
I'm gonna be honest. We did not prepare. we barely prepared. We had 2 practices where coach really got on us. Those weren't fun practices because the team wasn't in the right mindset. It's extremely hard to fight for one thing all season long. You finally get that thing. You finally win. And, you party, you drink, you sleep late. Your mind just goes into a different mode. It's like, okay, now I can ease up, I can relax a little bit, and I can celebrate. And on the other hand, you have Pana who watches, they watch us win, If I was them, I would want to kill, I would want to kill them, because... these are your enemies. They won. It's extremely hard. So of course they were going to fight extremely hard and play extremely hard. And going back into the focus mode was tough. I think game 1 we got. I'm glad we won because if you win game 1, then it gives you a little bit more room for errors, right? If you lose game 1 at home. Then
it's difficult to turn.
Yeah, it's difficult. And then you down 0-2 and stuff. It's tough. So we did the job game 1, and then that kind of gave us a little more room and a little bit more time to really focus and lock in again.
And what about game 4?
Game 4 is when we lose there. Yeah, we should have won that game.
You were very tired. The 2 free throws, but you have 29 points.
Everybody was tired. I think we had the opportunity to win. We just didn't make the plays. I missed 2 big free throws. I missed 1 3. But we had the opportunity. It's basketball. It's basketball, and also you have to give credit to Pana. They played hard. It was at home. They didn't want us to win and lift the trophy again in their home. They did what they had to do, but. It worked out. Game 5, we got to celebrate at home with the fans, so all good.
This season as well, it was a hectic series against Pana, but does what happened outside the court, the basketball lines, with all the announcements from both sides, affect you at all, like your mindset mentally?
It doesn't affect me in a sense where it's going to change how I behave, but it's not. It takes the fun away from the game a little bit. I think it's very unfortunate what's happening because Greek basketball has a great product. Like when you look at our domestic finals, it's in my opinion, and it's debatable, but in my opinion, it's the best in Europe. When you look at other, France, Germany, Italy, even Serbia, even to me, Spain don't have that type of quality. for finals. So we have the best finals in Europe. And, you know, it should be a celebration of Greek basketball. It should be like a celebration of basketball. And people should enjoy that finals. And instead, it becomes like a rivalry and like a toxic war between two teams. People suing each other, fines getting thrown out. I get that we're enemies and stuff. And, you know, I just got here, so I don't know the whole story. You know, I'm sure it's been like this for 20 plus years or whatever. The rivalry kind of like never ends. But, you know, still, you know, as rivals and enemies, you know, I don't like them, and it's fine not to like someone, but, you know, you should still respect each other, I think. And there's no need to create an environment where referees are getting attacked in their home and stuff. It's just not acceptable. You know, it's not fair. It's not fun for anyone. You can compete and you can still do the right thing, and at the end, you know, you win or lose, you shake their hand and you move on. But unfortunately, it is what it is. Because to be quite honest, it looks ridiculous. Like it doesn't look good. Like we look stupid doing that. You know, like all this bitching and complaining and attacking people. It's not fun. It's not fun. It's not good.
What's your point of view of what happened between Tariq and Nad?
To me, as a player, it's of course guys are responsible for what they're doing, right? Like you shouldn't throw a punch. Let's just start there, right? Both guys. You shouldn't choke someone. Bottom line. But like you gotta know, like as players, when we're on the court, the adrenaline is so high, and our mentality is different, and so we're both fighting for the same thing. And sometimes, you know, the tension goes a little too high, and if you go, you know, in the locker rooms and no one is between you, you're gonna fight. It's just the reality of things. And so, to me, like, people should have been there to protect both guys, Tariq and Nun, because yeah, you can lose control. You know, like I'm gonna speak about the NBA because that's what I know the best. But like in the NBA, something like this would never happen because you have too much security. The locker rooms are extremely are on the other side of the arena. You never get to cross path and stuff. And because stuff like that happens, like, you know, we're players. Sometimes stuff on the court are being said that are, you know, over the limit. But you know, we all have emotions, right? And that's unfortunate. I'm sorry it happened, and security should have been there to protect them.
Do you feel the tension and the toxicity of the environment of social media and media at the games with Panathenαϊκos?
It's impossible not to see it. It's impossible.
You read the social media.
Okay, so me with social media, I have moments where like I'm really on it, and you know, I read stuff, but I have moments where for 2 weeks nothing, you know. So it really depends on the timing. But still, like, you know, guys are still in the locker room, so it's literally impossible not to see it because guys talk about it, coaches talk about it. When something happens like that, you know, we all aware. Sometimes I'm just walking around and fans, you know, they go, hey, you see what happened? You see what he said? You see what Ataman said? Blah blah blah. So it's impossible for us not to know it. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about faces, about people.
Yeah.
You have talked highly many times. You have even worn T-shirt with his face. You have put a sticker on your suit with, I'm talking about Coach Barzokas. Of course, we don't see what you see every day at practice and outside the court. We just see that 40 minutes of basketball, his reactions, the way he lives the game. It's not just you that loves Coach Barzokas that much. What makes him such a special guy, like the go-to coach that people and the players love?
I think the key is that he cares about his players. Like he, on a personal level, he cares about us. He wants to keep guys happy. And, you know, as a coach, it's tough because, you know, you can't do that. You have to make hard choices. But, you know, he really tries to keep guys involved. Very respectful guy. And, you know, during practices and outside of the court, he's just a very calm, humble, chill guy. under control, just someone that likes being around you and cares about your family and stuff, and always has a few words for you. So it's really easy to play for him. The guy is obviously extremely smart, but as a personality, you know, it's easy to fight for him. You know, I've had some coaches, or you know, we all know some coaches that you know, they don't see their players as something important. They're just a way of success for them. And for Coach B, it's not that at all.
Because you should have hard choices. This year, you had a meeting with the coach, all the team, at December, January, somewhere there. And you will be at the bench, and Tyler will be a starter, right?
He had an amazing season.
Yeah. How do you handle this change? Because you are one of the best players of the Europe, and you came off the bench.
I had a discussion with one of the assistants, and you know, they came up with the conclusion that, you know, what was best for the team was for Tyler to start, because at the time we weren't playing good. Like the starting lineup was struggling, the team was struggling, we had no balance. We had just lost against Barcelona by 20. It was the worst game of the season. And you know, we went into that direction, and I think it helped everyone being more comfortable in their role without stepping on each other's toes. It was easier for coach to manage minutes, and after that the team took off. Really, we never looked back. For me, it was no problem. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I love coming up the bench, because players want to play as much as they can. Like I wish I could play 40 minutes. That's how every player feels. But the reality is different. To have a good team, you need players to be involved. You need players to have success on the individual level, so the team gets better. And so you know, there's only one cake, so you have to share the cake, right? And it wasn't a problem at all. It was a small adjustment because you play with different players. But honestly, it was a role that I actually really enjoyed. The more I played with the bench, you know, Donta, Corey, Shaq, Alec, like Tyson. The bench unit we really created something, and we started to play really, really good together. So it was fun. It was fun.
Would you say that this season's Vezenko-Furnier duo could be more or less the updated version of the pre-Panoulis duo?
We barely played together this year, so I don't think so. I didn't play with Sasha that much this year because of me coming on the bench and Sasha playing more with Thomas. I think this is something for the fans to decide. But you know, you have a foreman and you have someone that's bald with a beard. So I guess people are going to say that.
How easy is it to play with Tyler together to the court at the same time? Because he's a great player, he's a great scorer, but doesn't like to pass the ball a lot.
We all have our pros and cons. Tyler is a very aggressive guy, and I think the move of him being in the starting unit was good because that allowed him to really be aggressive and be himself, you know.
And help Sasha.
Hey, I mean, to help everyone, really, you know, that helped everyone. So having another scorer and a playmaker on the team was really helpful.
What's your relationship with Matias? Because with all these Olympiacos, Panathinaikos series, I mean, you're two Frenchmen, like two good friends, being opponents in such a toxic series for 40 minutes. How did you guys talk to each other during the EuroLeague Final Four, during the finals? Like, how was the relationship between you and Matias?
Matias is my guy. He's a real good friend of mine. We were teammates, actually roommates. He was my roommate in FIBA 2019 World Cup, and ever since we've been close. You know, I'm a bit older than him, so there's like a really big respectful relationship between us. And Matias is the type of guy, if you give him something, he's gonna give you 100 times more. So We have a great relationship. We did talk during the series because it was getting crazy at some point, what was being said, and we just exchanged a few words, and we said, okay, we'll talk when this is all over. He did send me a text when we won the Euroleague. After a couple of days, he said, okay, now that I'm feeling a little better, I'm not as angry. Congratulations, brother. But it was painful for him, obviously, to watch us win. And I hope his ankle is going to feel better and better, and that he's going to get back to his old self.
Is he misunderstood? Like, people have misunderstood Matias, the way he reacts or the way he is on the court.
You have to understand something. When you are around people, right, every day, and for hours and hours on the road, like what's being said around you, like at some point it's going to enter your mind, right? So if you are in a toxic environment, you're going to start thinking the same thing that they're saying, because everyone is saying that, right? So the way he reacts, I think, reflects just the way that they think, And also we all humans, we all make mistakes, sometimes with the emotions, we do stuff that we didn't necessarily mean. And unfortunately, you only remember the bad stuff, right? Because if you do one bad gesture, it's going to stay with you for a long time. Matias is a great guy. I don't care what anybody says. He's a great guy. He has a huge heart. And I think any team needs a guy like that plays with raw emotions and super intense. And he's an extremely lovable guy. He's the type of guy, you hate him when you play him, but you love him when he's with you. So,
because you had great relationship, a special relationship. Do you remember where you at when he was injured and came in Baskonia, and when you talked together for the first time?
Yeah, I was home. I was watching the game. I texted him just a couple of days later because you don't want to overwhelm the guy right after. But we've been in touch this whole process. Yes, for sure.
Who is that guy for Olympiacos? The guy that you said earlier, the guy that Matias is for Panathinaikos. So.
You can see Tyreek as like the Draymond Green type of guy, for sure, like the enforcer, the guy that plays with crazy intensity. But those guys are usually the guys that have the biggest heart. To have a good team, you need guys like that, 100%. You can't win nothing if you only have good guys.
Especially in Greece.
Everywhere, for sure.
Evan, why did you choose Olympiacos 2 summers ago? Why? It was your childhood memory from Paris. It was Belgrade. It was a fancy Belgrade.
Yeah, listen, I've said this many times, but after 2010, the only team that really had where I had interest into watching games and keeping up with what they were doing was Olympiacos, because I was a part of it was a strong emotion for me. I was 16. It was my first Euroleague game, Final Four. I see this craziness. I'm like, whoa, this is unbelievable. And
this red wall from the fans.
And they had players that I liked. They had Papaloukas, which was my favorite player. Milos, I didn't know Milos that well. They had Pat Bev. They had Baby Shaq, right?
Sophocles.
Yeah. So they had players that I enjoyed watching, and I think the coach was
from the Greece.
Exactly. So also you gotta know that the Greek national team was outside of France, obviously. They were like the team for me that meant the most, when they beat Team USA and all that. I've watched that game maybe like 25 times because that team was special to me. The way they played, the way they beat France at the last seconds, like to me, they represented something more than a team. And so I enjoyed that team. And so I enjoyed those players. And so I kept up with that. And year after year, I kept up. And then, you see French guys coming to the team, Livio, Tupan, Moose, and so you keep up with the team. Boom, they start making Final Fours after Final Fours. I say, okay, you know what? Let me go check out one Final Four. I go there 2022. Unfortunately, the team loses, but it's my way of keeping up with the team and the players and all that. I tweet, but when I tweeted, first of all, that was in French, so I thought, okay, this is gonna go under the radar. And literally 10 minutes after I tweet, like people start going crazy in the stands. And
Come to Olympiacos.
the GM starts giving me his card. Like, this is crazy. This is insane. And boom, summer 2024, I'm a free agent.
Who was the first person from Olympiacos you talked? Or your agent?
My agent, I think it was during the summer. I'm not really sure because that was during the Olympics. And during the Olympics, I was like, I don't want to hear anything about free agency. I want to focus. And after the Olympics, I go to the Dolomites in Italy with my wife. And, we start thinking about, okay, what's next? And, I was actually thinking about stopping and retiring because what the NBA had for me wasn't interesting. You go to the mountains, you put your phone down a little bit, you start thinking, you start hiking, being in the nature a little bit more, it appeases your mind. And I said, okay, I want to keep playing basketball. I just love this too much. I have too much to offer still. I want to go back to Europe. And so the only option for me was Olympiacos. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I told my agent, find a way to make it work. I didn't want to go to Spain, Turkey, Serbia, nowhere. And that was the only place for me. I was very clear. And so he called them. I think at first, you have to ask them, but I think at first for like a good week, they were like, why? Like, why do you want to come? Why? Okay, this is weird.
They're suspicious.
Suspicious.
Yeah. like he's
What
injured.
happened
Like
here?
he's injured. Like what's going on? What's going on? And
Do you remember who it was? It was Mrs. Kedilias, Nikos.
I had a call. So I was in Lake Como after that because for 1 week it was just my agent and the team talking. And when I started talking I talked with Nikos, and then right after, in 2 days, it happened super fast. And I'm in Lake Como, and Nikos calls me. So actually, my agent calls me and says, "Hey, Nikos from the team wants to call you. Are you free?" I say, "Yeah, okay, give me 15 minutes." I was at the restaurant getting drunk with my wife and friends, and he calls me and says, "Hey, so are you motivated? Do you really want to come? Europe is different." I was drunk. I was like, yeah, for sure, don't worry.
Was the coach or Nikos?
It was Nikos. Yeah. I'm gonna work hard. I promise you. Actually, I was drunk. I was drinking. But I said, yeah, don't worry, I got you. And then we agreed on everything, the contract, the papers, whatever. And then I just wanted to talk to Coach Barsokas before I signed, because we agreed on everything, but I still didn't technically sign the paper. And from my experience, it's important that you talk to the coach before going somewhere, because the team may want you, the GM may want you, but the guy you're going to work with every day, and the guy who's going to put you on the court is the coach. And if the coach doesn't want you, then
Trouble.
Yeah, trouble. And also I knew, that the team had a big roster already, and I was a very late signing, so maybe it wasn't in his best interest to have me or whatever. And so I told Nikos I'm not going to sign it until I talk to Coach Barsokas. And so I called him, and we had a very honest discussion. I said, listen, I know the team wants me to come, and we agreed on everything. But if you don't don't want me around, there's no problem. I promise I won't say to anyone. But please, you have to let me know, because I don't want to be put in a position where you don't want me, and now it's like it's not gonna be good for both of us. And then he said, no, of course, I want you, etc. I'm really excited to work with you, whatever. But he also had questions for me, like, okay, why do you want to come? Are you motivated? Are you aware that Euroleague is extremely competitive, and it's a war, and we need tough guys, and blah blah blah. And on my end, I told him why I wanted to come, and I think that made him feel better, and that I was serious. And right after the conversation, I signed.
Which was the most intense picture for you? The airport welcome or the open bus after the Euroleague?
No, nothing can beat the airport. Nothing.
The airport, huh?
Nothing can beat it. Nothing. There was more people in Piraeus with the celebrations, but it was my first time in Greece. And I knew fans were excited to have me, but I didn't know it was like that. Like it was no way for me to know, because it doesn't make sense. It was I don't remember which day it was. Maybe it was a Monday or something.
I think it was midweek.
Yeah. So it was midweek. It was 1 a.m. My plane was late. There was no way for me to expect this. It was madness. It was crazy. Like I'll never ever forget it. And to me, that set the tone for how my stay here would be, because they gave me so much love, so much energy, so much juice. People thanking me. Like you maybe don't realize this, but like as players, when someone comes to you and say, "Hey, thank you," just play basketball, man. Like it's crazy, And so for me, it was okay. Like whoa, I really have to win here. I really have to give them everything I have. I really have to, give them back, basically. And that night, I went back to the hotel and couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep for 2 days. I was so excited. I was actually exhausted. My first practices, I was exhausted because my emotions were so high. I was trying to keep that under control, and at the same time, I was trying to learn everybody's name. And you get to a new place, you learn the plays, you practice. I was exhausted the first 2 weeks.
Can we say that at the open bus, you said, "Okay, yeah, I gave them what I had to the fans at 5 a.m."
Yeah, I think we for sure. I had a moment where I was like, okay, the job is done. Like we did our thing, and they deserve it for sure. Yeah, I thought that for sure.
This year you won it all: MVP, Final Four MVP, Final Four of the MVP of the finals. That would be an ideal ending to your career this year.
I'm gonna stop when I feel like it's time. This is the first year where I've really had thoughts during the season of, okay, this is getting closer and closer. The regular season is long, and as much as I enjoy that last part of the season where everything is on the line, this is where I feel like the most alive and stuff. The more the regular season becomes, like it becomes harder and harder for me to be away from my family, to leave, to not sleep in my own bed, to sleep, to eat hotel foods, the traveling, like my daily comfort that I have here, the time I spend with my family becomes more and more valuable for me, and to miss on that becomes harder and harder. So I enjoyed the regular season less and less. I can't even lie. This was the first time where I felt like, okay, this might be all over soon, and then boom, you have the big games coming up, and you feel alive again and focused, and now I want to play for another 5 years. So we'll see how it goes. I have 2 more years in my contract. I'm going to do like I always do. I'm going to give my absolute best, and then we'll see. But I think as long as I have the fire, I'll keep playing.
You will be in the new set as a player, the new set, the new stadium.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not retiring this summer. Of course not.
I remember when you first entered a packed SEF. It was at Predisis, I think, tournament, and you were in awe.
That was the day after I landed.
Oh yeah.
That was the day after.
And you were ecstatic. Have you pictured yourself getting into the new Peace and Friendship Stadium packed?
I don't know what it's going to look like, so it's hard for me to visualize something. I just know it's going to be better. If it's the one thing I really hope is that the stands are going to be closer to the court. As much as there are enemies and stuff, but I don't like the glass floor. But the way it is in Oaxaca, like how closer it is to the court, like we felt our fans a lot more than we do at SEF. Like we felt Gate 7 a lot more than we do at SEF because they're so much closer to us, and we can really hear them, and it creates like a loud environment. And so if we can have that, if we can recreate something where it's closer, then it's gonna be out. I mean, it's gonna be really like insane because Gate 7 is so loud, and they chant all game, but they're really far. Like they have to really put an extra effort for us to really like feel them. If we have just like a regular arena, then it's gonna be absolutely incredible. So I'm really, really excited.
How surreal was a red packed Oaxaca?
I had this discussion with my wife. She went to pretty much every big games that I've ever had, NBA playoffs, Olympics, World Cup, everything. This was probably the most intense atmosphere I've ever played in. because every single person that was in there was yelling. Everyone was standing. Everyone was into the game. Everyone was chanting. It was just like the intensity of the game was so high. It was probably my best basketball memory in my career.
You read the news. Olympiacos is very close to sign two great players, two great guards like Cody Miller-McIntyre and Jean Montero. How difficult is to find the chemistry and your roles, you, Tyler, Thomas, and the new two guys? Because they want the ball, they're great players at EuroLeague.
We'll see. That's what practice is for. That's what games are for. That's why you have a whole season to get ready for the most important part of the season. And that's why you pay Basokas the big bucks, because that's his job to figure it out. That's the coach job. So I have no worries whatsoever. It's really easy for guys to come in and plug in and play the way we play. You got two competitive guys coming in. And the good thing about EuroLeague is that you don't really have like 1, 2, and 3s anymore. You have guards. You have big forwards, and so you can play with two guys together. I can play the 3. This is not a problem. So we'll figure it out, and hopefully we have an even better season next year.
I ask especially for Jean Montero because he's the next big thing of the European basketball. He's only 22. He did great things at ACB. I don't know if you see the series against Badalona.
Yeah, it was.
And at the EuroLeague players against Panthinaikos, he was unbelievable.
Great player. Listen, it's always exciting to get talented players, right? So, but right now I'm kind of like everyone. I'm waiting, right? Like I'm waiting, and when it's gonna be time to work together, then we're gonna work together, and the time will come where we're gonna have to do what we have to do. As of right now, though, there's nothing to do right now. So I'm just chilling. I'm just preparing for next year. I have a whole summer of work, and when the time comes, we'll do what's necessary for the team to win.
Before we end this interview, I want you to tell me the backstory of this photo.
I got set up by the team. we were having dinner at Barbarossa, like a party dinner, and I was sipping wine.
Not drunk, like the calls with.
No. But it was towards the end of the night, and Katsikis, Antonis, comes up to me yelling, "Hey, do you want to go to the pool?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go with you. Yeah, sure." And so me and him are very close, and so we jumped into the pool, and I turned around. There's like 10 people taking pictures of me. I was like, this is a setup. You guys are setting me up, but it was a way of because Katsikis was the one picking me up at the airport, and so it was a way of almost like celebrating with him because we went through a lot together with him picking me up. He helped me through a lot of setting up in Greece. He helps me with everything. I mean, not just me, but like the team. He's like the do it all type of guy. I couldn't say no to that. So we just jumped. And yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for the Galacto Bureko.
No worries. Hope you like it.
I will. Trust me, I will.